Hey everybody, this is William Monroe here. I'm going to do a deck profile on the deck I may be using in regionals, I may not. It's going to be my lightsworn chaos possibly. So let's get started on the monsters, okay? Chaos version to the deck is I'm going to start with Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. His effect is he cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by banishing one light and one dark from your graveyard. His secondary and third effect is banish one monster on the field and face up attack. Well, face up. He cannot attack this turn. His second effect is when he destroys a monster by battle and sends it anywhere pretty much, he can attack once again. Then you got Chaos Sorcerer here, who is a level 6 monster. Same summoning conditions. He has the same effect besides the double attack as Envoy of the Beginning. So he's pretty much smaller than Envoy of the Beginning. Literally. He's 2 stars lower and he's also 700 weaker. Then I got Destiny Hero Malicious. I run 3 of them here. As you guys see, I run 3 Destiny Hero Malicious. It's from the zombie deck OTK build from some players. Some Destiny Hero players may use them still, I don't know. Then you got the triple Plague Spreader Zombie. Excuse me. He's a common level 2 tuner used in the zombie deck or pretty much any type of deck you want to spam level 8s or level 5s or 6s, depending on what you have on board. So that's what I have for them so far. And the final part of the Dark Chaos version to it is the Necrogardenas, which I run at too. They're the negate attacks or pieces to summon out Chaos Sorcerer or Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning. Now time to go to the lightsworn engine. Excuse me. I run 2 Judgment Dragons. Can only be summoned via through having 4 or more lightsworn monsters within the grave with different names. You pay 1,000, destroy all cards on the field besides him. At the end of the turn, know the top 4 cards of your deck. Next card up is Lightsworn Lumina the Summoner. I run at 3. She's the monster born towards the deck. By pitching a card from the hand, special summon a level 4 or lower Lightsworn monster, so on and so forth. I run 1 Wolf, the Lightsworn Beast. He's just dead weight. He's useful when you have a solar recharge, or pretty much you want to use him in your hand when you have a Lumina out. But I also use him when he's milled off, or I use Foolish Barrel on him. He's fun. Then I go to Raiden, the Hand of the Lightsworn. His effect is you send the top 2 cards of your deck. If there's a Lightsworn milled amongst them, he only gains the 200. If it's a double Lightsworn, he doesn't gain 400. He gains only 200. And during the end phase, you mill 2. Lumina, you mill 3. And I already told you what JD mills off. Jane the Paladin Lightsworn, as you guys see, 2. His attack increases by 300, which kicks it up to 21 when he battles a monster. And during the end phase, he mills the top 2 cards in my deck. Next up is Felice, the Lightsworn Archer. which everybody more or less uses. They don't have to, but I do. She's another wolf in this case. She's just dead in the hand, but her effect is originally is you contribute this card, destroy a monster on the opponent's side of the field, and at the end you mill 3 cards from the top of your deck. Then I run 2 Lilas, the lightsworn sorceress. She's the MST in the deck. You summon her, you activate her effect, she hides in defense mode and destroys a spell or trap card set or already active on the field. And at the end of the turn you mill 3 for her. End effect. Then I run 2 Raikus, the lightsworn hunters, the man-eater bugs. When it's flip summoned, target 1 card on the field and destroy it. Then send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. That's him. Then I have 2 Minerva, the lightsworn maiden. Her effect is, well, when she is normal summoned, depending on the number of lightsworn monsters in your graveyard, you can add 1 light dragon type monster equal to the number of lightsworn. It's pretty hard to explain what Minerva's effect is, but her secondary effect is when she's sent from the hand or deck, you're allowed to mill 1 card off of her effect. But when she's on the field, you mill 2 cards. That's it for the lightsworn monsters. Now on to the trap cards, okay? Excuse me. I run triple dimensional prison. Instead of running like Sakuretsu armor or whatever other spell cards that do negate attacks and all that, I run dimensional prison at 3. Then I have a compulsory evacuation device, which bounces cards back to the owner's hands. Then I play a solemn warning, which negates the summon by paying 2,000 life points. Bombless trap hole doesn't really negate the summon, but when the monster is summoned and its attacks over 1,500, you get to destroy it and then banish it. Then I have a Mirror Force. Mirror Force, you activate that, destroy all face-up attack position monsters your opponent controls. That's what Mirror Force does. That's all for my traps. It's a pretty small amount of traps I use in this deck. Okay, so double, charge of the Light Brigade, mill 3 cards, search out a level 4 or lower lightsworn monster from your deck and add it to your hand. That's the reinforcements of the deck originally. Then I have a Foolish Burial, as you guys can see right here, a Foolish Burial. It's meant to send monsters from my deck to the graveyard. It's easier for my level 8 plays though. So I got triple solar recharges, which allows me to send a lightsworn monster from my hand to the graveyard, draw 2 cards, then mill 2 cards. This is useful when I have, say, a card that I don't want in my hand at the moment, like Wolf and Felice. Say I drew into those turn 1, and I drew into 2 of these turn 1 as well. So I activate 1 solar recharge, pitch a Wolf or Felice, draw 2, mill 2. Then activate the second one by pitching one of the 2 again, draw 1, yeah, so on and so forth. It continues. Now, 3 Mystical Space Typhoons, which a lot of people do unless they're using Night Beams, which is the opposite to Mystical Space Typhoon. Night Beam is a good card, but I prefer MST. Then I have one Book of Moon. Everybody, it's limited. It's a limited card. What it does is it sends monsters from attack position to face down defense position. That's what it does pretty much. Then I play a Raigeki, which is pretty much a lightning vortex on steroids, just no cost. Then the last spell card for the main deck is Reinforcements of the Army, which has recently been limitized to 1. Used to be at 3, but now it's at 1. Its effect is you can add 1 level 4 or lower warrior type monster from your deck to your hand. It's pretty much like Charge of the Light Brigade, but instead of with a cost, you get to search your deck, look for a level 4 or lower that you want, add it to your hand. On to the extra deck. Okay? So I'm going to start off with my XYZs. As you see here, I run a 101 Honor Arc, Gaga Cowboy, and Castell the Skyblaster Musketeer. These 3 guys have their own effects, which everybody knows, unless you're just starting off with Yu-Gi-Oh! 101, his effects are when he's targeted, or, well, not really targeted, when he is being destroyed, you can detach 1 overlay unit. Overlay units is pretty much the number of monsters used to summon these guys. The summoning conditions on these guys is you need 2 level 4 monsters. Doesn't matter what level 4 monsters you use, as long as they're level 4. Excuse me. So 101, the Silent Honor Arc. Most people use his effect when your opponents have special summon monsters. His effect is when this card would be destroyed, you can detach 1 overlay unit from it, and it's not destroyed. Its secondary effect, which everybody uses, is the effect of detach 2, take a special summon monster your opponent controls, and attach it to this card as an overlay unit. That's what 101 does. Gaga Cowboy. Most people use it to finish a game when they're facing opponents. His defense effect is detach an overlay unit, inflict 1,000 life points to your opponent. But his attack position effect is when he attacks an opponent's monster, he gains 1,000 attack and the monster loses 500 attack. Excuse me. Then I have Castell the Skyblast Musketeer. His effect is detach 1, change a face down defense position monster to face up attack position. His other effect is detach 2, return 1 face up monster your opponent controls back to the hand or extra deck. Then for the synchros, I run Armades, the Keeper of the Boundaries. He's more like a Denko-Sack on steroids for a Fiend type. Your opponent can't activate any cards involved in battle with this card and another card until the end of the damage step. So Cosmos, look out when you're getting hit by Armades, okay? That's a scary card for you guys at times. I also run a Goyo Guardian. He's the Snatch and Steal card. When he battles a monster and succeeds on destroying it, I take control of it, or I can choose to take control of it, and it's special summoned to my side of the field in face-up defense position. Then I got Black Rose Dragon. I don't know if you guys seen the other two, but there. Black Rose Dragon. His summoning condition, you don't really need to activate. He's the Heavy Storm Dark Hole card when he's summoned, but that's the effect that everybody loves to use. But put it this way, if somebody's running a plant deck around, please expect a stinking Black Rose Dragon in there, because that plant person is going to know its second effect, which allows you to banish a plant monster, change the battle position of a face-down defense position monster right into attack mode, and drops its attack to 0. So those are the first 3 synchro monsters I use in the list. Then I use Michael, the Arc lightsworn mod. Lightsworn. Well, his summoning conditions is pretty darn strict. You need 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner, but it has to be a light monster. Michael, he's a level 7. If you guys can clearly do the math. My normal plays to go into Michael is either Minerva level 4 or Raiden with a level 3, which would be Lumina most of the time. His effect is pay 1,000 life points, banish a card, end phase, mill 3. His second effect is when this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, I can add any number of lightsworn monsters sitting in graveyard back to the deck, and I gain 300 life points per lightsworn monster with a different name. Moving on to my level 8 monsters. I run a Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon likes to say no to any destruction card that comes by, pretty much. He just sends himself to the graveyard and negate the activation. Then I run a Scrap Dragon. His effect is I target a card on my side of the field, then target a card on your side of the field. Destroy those both, he can't conduct his battle phase. Then I play 2 Beals of the Diabolic Dragons. His effect is he cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effect, but any damage inflicted to me, even by card effects, I've seen this happen online, guys, his attack still increases by the amount of damage I take. I've seen it online. I don't know if it's the right rulings for him online, though. So those are my level 8s. I have 1 level 9, which is Trishla, the Dragon of the Ice Barriers. He needs 1 tuner and 2 or more non-tuner monsters. You guys ask me how I go into Trishla? It's pretty simple. I use Minerva most of the time. If I don't have a Minerva out with a Necro Gardener or a Lumina, I'll just use Raiden, Lumina, and Raikou, if Raikou's face up on the field magically still. So I'd be able to summon Trishula. Trishula's effect is banish 3 cards, 1 from field, 1 from hand, and 1 from graveyard. That's Trishula's effect. Next up is Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree. His effect is he cannot be targeted by an opponent's card effect except during your main phase 2, which pretty much is hardly ever for me. The only way he would die really is via through a Regeki or a Dark Hole. Then last but not least, Star Eater, the level 11 synchro monster I use. His effect is his summoning can't be negated in any which way and form unless you say Solemn Warning, which isn't really negating his summon. It just says no to the summon. But his effect's pretty cool. He's unaffected by card effects the turn that he attacks, though, which is pretty cool. So that's it for my deck profile on my lightsworn Chaos. That's all for right now, and please subscribe to my channel. Take care and good night.